Hey kids, welcome back to the channel. I am Uncle Frank, and I hope that you are having a great day. Today, we're going to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition, 3.5, my favorite edition of the game, so to speak. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 5 books, the 5 supplementary books for 3rd edition that I think you should have in your library. Over the life of 3rd edition, Wizards of the Coast released an absolute plethora of books for the game system. And there's a lot that I really like. There are a lot of duds too, but more often than not, you'll find that 3rd edition books are pretty enjoyable. So if you had only 5 to choose from for your library, which 5 would they be? And I decided to select the 5 books that I think can potentially be the most impactful on a game, whether for good or bad, depending on how your GM chooses to use them. Now, this list is in no particular order. It's not from best to worst or worst to best. It's just the 5 books that I think, if you have access to them, it will greatly expand the options available to you and your players in a game of 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons. Now, with that said, let's dive right in with book number 1. Now, first on our list is a book I think everybody saw coming. It is The Dragon Amicon, aka the Big Book of Big Lizards. This is virtually everything you'd need to know about dragons in Dungeons and Dragons, including a bunch of new spells specifically tailored for dragons, dragon prestige classes. I think there's the Warden of Bahamut is from this book, and a whole host of new dragon monster types. This book is perhaps the first thing that comes to mind when I think of dragons in 3rd edition, because this has so much in it specifically for making new dragons and adding all kinds of special templates, abilities, etc. to existing dragons. If you want to make your own dragon character and stuff them in a campaign for your players to fight against, this is probably the book you're going to grab. Now, if you're a player, there is The Races of Dragon, I think is the title of the book. It's another draconic book. It's not nearly as good as this one, I think, because this one is all about dragons, and that one is all about races related to dragons. Now up next we have the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. The Forgotten Realms is one of the most popular settings for Dungeons and Dragons, and with good reason. It's a vibrant world with a lot of memorable characters and locations, and this book gives you all the tools you need as a game master or as a player to start adventuring in the Forgotten Realms. And it's got just such a good feel to it. Not only is the book itself a bit stand out, it doesn't look like a normal Dungeons and Dragons book. It kind of looks like a leather-bound tome or maybe even a journal. But it's also got just a lot of unique stuff in it. Regional histories, details about the locations in the Forgotten Realms. It's got maps galore. It's got unique types of creatures, spells, equipment, etc. It's a great book, and it's not the only campaign setting for 3rd edition, but it is, in my opinion, the one that will be the most useful to you, especially if you're looking to play in the Forgotten Realms. Up next, we have another resource book that most GMs are going to find more use for than players, and that is Deities and Demigods. It's a pretty fascinating book because not only does this book have information for all of the Dungeons and Dragons gods, but it's also got rules and stat blocks for real world religion icons like Zeus, Thor. I think the Egyptian gods are in this book as well. Not the Egyptian god cards, just the Egyptian gods. According to this book, Zeus is a level 20 barbarian, a level 20 fighter, and a level 10 cleric. And his blood has a unique ability. You see, if he takes 20 points or more of damage in a single attack, his drops of blood turn into a monster when it touches the ground. Imagine fighting Zeus, the king of the gods, and you cut him and a minotaur appears. That would be a really bad situation. Now, at first glance, deities and demigods might not seem that impressive or important, but what it provides is opportunity for you, the Dungeon Master, or your players, because this lets you play games in alternate settings other than just the D&D settings. If you want to play a Dungeons and Dragons campaign set in Earth in the distant past, or perhaps in Greek mythology, this gives you a lot of the tools you'll need to do it just by giving you access to the gods of historic mythological Earth. And it's a pretty cool book, I think. The fourth book we're talking about today is the Tome of Magic. This book is one of the coolest in Dungeons & Dragons, not because it offers new spells for existing magic systems, but it gives you access to 3 new magic systems: Shadow Magic, Pact Magic, and True Name Magic. Of those 3, I personally think the Shadow Magic one is the coolest. I've got a few characters with Shadow Magic abilities under their belt, and it's been the most useful to me, but Pact Magic's pretty cool too, and True Name Magic it's okay. Now, what's cool about these magic systems is that, at least for Shadow Magic, it doesn't operate like normal spells. You see, if you're using the Shadow Magic from this book, it kind of operates like its own variation of dark illusion magic. And by that I mean, it's not affected by a lot of the things that would affect or stop normal magic. If you have counter spells in place that would negate the effects of specific types of magic, for instance, and you use a Shadow Magic version of those spells, the counterspell magic won't affect it. As a game master, I have used this book to design villains who use unique versions of magic not accessible to the players. And as a player, I've used this book to provide a character of my creation with incentive to delve deeper into the secrets of the arcane world by giving him something to look forward to. More diverse kinds of magic. It's a great book that has a lot of uses for anyone who wants to either create their own unique villains or kind of just explore different versions of magic in Dungeons & Dragons, and I think it's absolutely amazing. Now, our final book is one that I don't actually have on me. You see, the final book that I recommend you have is called The Libris Mortis, the Book of the Undead. And it's an amazing book because it gives you, the game master, all the rules you need for creating new undead, and it also gives players the ability to create undead, including rules for things like a lich. It gives all kinds of new necromantic spells, abilities, etc. And I think it gives new classes. Don't quote me on that because it's been a while since I've read it. Now, why am I recommending this book if I don't actually own it? Well, it's a book that I very much would like to own. It's just not been in any of the nearby stores or bookshops I've visited. Fun story, I actually had the opportunity to own this book for about $5 a few years ago. You see, I went to Gen Con a while back with some buddies, and there was a guy there selling 3rd edition books for $5 out of a bargain bin, and I saw the Libris Mortis there for $5, and I thought to myself, that's a cool book, but I'm pretty sure I have that. I'm very confident that I've read that recently. So I was thinking to myself, I have it, I'm not going to buy that. I don't need to spend $5 on a book I already have. Needless to say, I got home later that weekend, and it turns out I did not, in fact, own the book, and I was very upset with myself for not spending that $5. And I keep telling myself I'll order it online. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but I do think it's a really good book. I've read PDFs of it. It's amazing, and it gives you evil options as well as access to really nefarious abilities. Like, there's cyst spells in this book that I think are really creepy and really interesting for villainous characters to use, not only against the players, but against, like, important NPCs to set up plot devices. Like, imagine if the Elven Queen is afflicted with an evil cyst by a lich because he wants some precious treasure the elves have, and it's up to the heroes to go out there and either find a way to cure that disgusting cyst or defeat the lich and undo the curse on the Elven Queen. But hey, those are just the 5 books I recommend. What do you guys think? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of these books. And do you have any Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition books you recommend people should have in their libraries? Do let me know. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next one. No push-ups in this video. I'm still getting set up here.